I just want to thank you and welcome everyone to the inaugural event of the new chapter of the American Association of Men in Nursing. My name is Josiah Ratz. I'm a sophomore, and joining me is Neal Hautz, who's also a sophomore. And we just want to especially thank our guests for coming out and taking time out of their busy schedules to meet with us and talk to us a little bit more about what it means to be a man in nursing. For today's events, we'll begin with a panel discussion, and joining us are three nurses with various roles at Michigan Medicine and the School of Nursing. And then we'll move into a Kahoot about the history of men in nursing with prizes for the top three.
So we just want to remind the participants that we do have a prepared list of questions, but we want to make this event as interactive as possible. So if you do have a question, please feel free to leave it in the chat and we'll try to get to it as soon as possible.
Yes. So joining us today, we have Dr. D. Anthony Tolentino, Brock Willett, and Nick Wolford. These men all have unique roles within nursing in the university, and we are very excited they have taken time out of their busy schedules to meet and talk with us today. So to start us off, how about we go around and have everyone quickly introduce themselves and briefly tell us why you agreed to be on this panel. And to kind of keep us from having that awkward silence, I thought we could just start with Anthony, then go to Brock, and finish with Nick.
Sure, thank you. First off, I just want to thank our student leaders, Neal and Josiah, for inviting us to this event. I'm Anthony. I'm a first-year postdoc research fellow here at the School of Nursing, also a National Clinician Scholar at the Institute of Healthcare Policy and Innovation. So to me, currently my position, it's really been a long and windy path for me. I moved to the US when I was 18, actually worked at different jobs from fast food to retail to even collection agencies before being a nurse. I've been a nurse for 14 years, short 14 years, and I'm a product of community college and public universities, received my BSN and my master's at San Francisco State University, recently received my PhD in nursing at the University of Arizona. And my pre-doctoral work was really focused on informatics. I'm doing a slight pivot for my postdoc now since the focus is on health services research, but still trying to incorporate informatics. Most of my experience in nursing has been in clinical informatics. I started my work as a nurse at Stanford and then eventually work in a community hospital where I was exposed to informatics and really started my career in informatics. And I joined this panel because I want to share, that there's a lot of ways to be a nurse, and being a man in nursing actually has a lot of advantages, and that you can do anything with nursing. So thank you for having me today.
Thank you. And Brock, you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi, guys. Everyone that's joined in, thanks for having me. My name is Brock Willett. I'm currently a doctoral family nurse practitioner student with concentrations in occupational health and safety, global health, and a concentration in informed trauma care. My current career path is kind of unique to the typical nurse. I currently work at a mechanical engineering plant where they're the largest fastener distributors in the world. So here I'm able to kind of reach beyond the typical nurse standard and do like educational programs and perform hearing tests and do eye exams. And that was part of the reason why I wanted to join in on this panel. Again, like Anthony said, there's just this vast amount of nursing knowledge and paths and careers that you can take. And to be able to bring that to your guys' attention and support who's been kind of the minorities in the career path is phenomenal. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Nick?
Yeah, tough acts to follow, guys. Come on. Josiah and Neal, exceptional job putting this on. And thank you for the awesome backgrounds, too. It's very professional. It's a nice touch to it, a little bit of flair. My name is Nicholas Wolford. I'm a SWAT nurse here at the University of Michigan. I've been here for 7 years. I've been a nurse for 9 years now. And my focus is kind of critical care background. So I started off in adult ER, I worked pediatric ER. Then I worked on a rapid response. Then I went to Life Flight, got my master's in nursing education, and I've been at University of Michigan ever since in SWAT. So I love it very much. It's an exceptional institution, and I'm eager to get this started because the support system for males just isn't out there. And I think this is an exceptional venue that you gentlemen have led to get started. So I'm happy and proud to be part of it.
Thank you.
All right, awesome. So it sounds like you guys all have some very diverse career paths and different interests here in the field of nursing. And I was just kind of wondering if you could kind of explain that path to your current position. I know it can sometimes be a winding path, but how do you find yourself in that current role? And how does that suit your interests and your passions?
I have, anyone can go first, actually, whoever feels led.
So mine's a little.
I'll go after you, Brock.
Nick, go ahead, take it away.
No, please go ahead. You're good, man. After you, kind sir.
No, mine was kind of weird. I actually, when I first got into the medical field, I loved EMT and paramedic. I went into that first, and then I slowly progressed into nursing. And my original career plan is actually what Nick's was, to go into SWAT and everything like that. And the more research I did, and the more I sought out to be what I wanted to be, I found that going back to school and getting my doctorate in nursing and be able to work as a family nurse practitioner and do a lot of the things that my family's done, which is work at plants. So being able to give that back has been amazing. So did my EMT, did my undergrad, went straight into my doctorate, and landed a very unique, fun job that I truly enjoy.
Thank you. Nick, do you want to go next?
Oh, absolutely. I would like to know, though, what you guys want to know. So my question is for you. How professional do you want this to be? Do you want this to be a authentic answer? Do you guys want this to be, I want this to be geared more towards you, because I can give a very political PR response to this, but is that what everybody wants? Honestly, if you guys want to comment in the Discord, or if Josiah or Neal want to answer that, I'm happy here to adjust it.
I think if I were to ask it, like, answer it for the students here, and if you think back to like your 19, 20-year-old self, how you kind of navigated.
Wasn't that long ago, Neal.
If you think about yourself a couple years ago, or maybe even last year, I'm not sure how old you are. You look pretty young, but just how you kind of navigated everything that was thrown at you during nursing school and when you're trying to find that career path.
All right, well, then I'll give you the informal answer to this. Is that what you're saying then? All right,
Yeah,
we'll do informal. We'll keep it professional, though. So essentially, to be honest, I went to school for accounting. So this was not at all a passion. I played football. When I was younger, all I cared about was working out and playing sports. And I thought I was going to own my own gym, or I was going to do something in business, because I love analytics, which I love that story that he was telling us about his analytics background. So I went into all that. I shadowed a job, sat inside a cubicle all day, and thought I was going to go crazy. Like, it just wasn't for me. And that's the beautiful thing. To be 100% real, I'm all about healthcare. I find it very interesting, but the awesome work-life balance it provides. So working as a staff nurse, I work 3 days a week. You know, the reimbursement's awesome, and I have a great job. And you have a major impact on patients. Like, you see the ramifications of what you do every day. It's very rewarding. So like, if you go into a background, like say if I would have stayed with an accounting degree, like I put all these numbers in the computer, it makes it look good, and you make huge impact with that, but you don't see that impact. Like for me, when a patient's down on the floor and they are unresponsive and we start compressions and we bring that person back to life, there is no better feeling in the world than to do that. So I seen that early on in my career. After I switched from accounting, I said, well, what's this next avenue? I went and worked as a tech. So I worked as a nursing assistant, got exposed to healthcare. My cousin worked in the ER. So she was like, well, come shadow me. So I seen that firsthand. I was like, that is remarkable that you guys do this. So I started pursuing it. I worked as a tech to see if I'd like the job. Because that's what's nice about this is you can do whatever you like. Like you literally, we have somebody at NP on here, you have somebody that's in analytics, and you have somebody that's a staff nurse. So there is a huge spectrum, and there's a million other these pathways for you guys to choose. So choosing what's right for you is what it's all about. For me, it was seeing that, I loved it, and I just fell in love with it. So then I started pursuing it. So I left, actually I left my football scholarship. I was under a full ride. I was a junior, transferred to Lourdes College down in Sylvania, Ohio, and had to start my degree all over again down there. So I transferred to nursing, and the rest is history, to basically. I worked as a tech, then I started in a respiratory, made a lot of connections. Like these connections that we're making right here is how I got my whole career path going, because they always tell you in nursing school, like, you can't go work in critical care. You can't work in the ER. You can't, they say you're like limited to like the certain scope, like you have to work the bedside. But if that's not your passion, I don't believe that's true. And to make that possible, I think these connections like you guys are establishing right now is absolutely crucial, because every job that I've had has been through essentially somebody who I've known, somebody's made a recommendation, or I've heard from somebody. Like I never checked online for job postings all the time, you know? It was always word of mouth. Yeah, and that's kind of how I ended up this career. I just started off, like I said, yeah, in the ER, and then just gradually worked my way up as I gained more experience. And now I love it here. Like this is kind of the pinnacle job for me, because I don't need to work 100 hours a week anymore, because I worked like 3 jobs for like 10 years, and that was a lot. So breaking it down like this to where you can keep all that experience and see all those patient populations, just you find your niche. And that niche is different for everybody, but just be passionate about it. Is that a decent response, or is there something more?
No, yeah, that was
Very
great.
well said. Thank
I'm
you.
just trying to be informal and trying to have fun with you guys, because this is what this is all about. Like, I want to help you guys out. I know everybody else here on these panelists, they want to help you guys out. We just want to do what we can to help you guys. And every one of you guys, like, this shows the variance of what you can and cannot do. Like, it's not speaking like one's better than the other for anybody. It's just whatever you want to do, whatever your work-life passion is. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would echo what Nick said. Although I would say that informatics, I think, is still the best specialty, Nick.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what Nick said, I think when I was starting as a nurse, and you know, it was ingrained to me that to be a real nurse, right, you need to be in a hospital setting. You need to start in medical surgical. That's where you get your skills and exposure and everything. And it was actually discouraged. I was actually discouraged to start in a public health setting. That's what I wanted to do post-graduation, but they said, no, you need to be working in an acute care setting in a medical surgical, because that's what everyone was doing. And so I started at a step-down medical surgical unit at Stanford, and I got burnt out. I had no one to talk to. I had no concept of mentorship at that point, no supervisor to get advice from. And it was lonely. And at some point, I made the decision to leave. I went to a community hospital, work at a CV data unit, and I felt bad with my decision because I felt like I abandoned nursing, right? For some reason, one of the directors from the clinical informatics department at that hospital talked to me and said, hey, we're starting a small implementation for an electronic flow sheet for our behavioral health unit. Do you want to join? And that's really where I started my career in informatics. It was pretty much an on-the-job training for me. Loved it, and that's really where I found my interest and passion in technology. And then I realized that, you know, nursing is not only bedside, right? It's not only about the hospital. There's different ways to be a nurse. Just because you no longer work in bedside does not make you not a nurse, right? And we should be asking, what makes someone a nurse, right? What is nursing? As Nick alluded to earlier, you know, what's amazing with nursing is that you can always switch jobs without really changing your career, right? You can work in SNF, in education, in research, in policy. You can probably even work as a TikTok something, influencer. So I think if we broaden our thinking and remove the old gatekeeping attitudes that we have, we can really do amazing things in nursing. So.
Yeah, I think that's really awesome. I know one of my favorite nurses ever was actually a former graduate of the School of Nursing, Lauren Underwood, who's currently serving as a congresswoman. And so I really look up to her as someone who's still a nurse, even though she may not be working in a hospital at the bedside in an ICU type of thing. So yeah, thanks for sharing that. We kind of touched on it briefly, but could each of you maybe kind of talk about how you found your specific specialty and what you really enjoy about that particular area of nursing?
I can jump into it. So I think it's like what Nick was saying, you know, you just go and you try a bunch of things. And that's kind of key to it. You go, they put you through these clinicals and you just find what you like. If you like the hospital, you love the inpatient acute care, like, you know, then find your niche in there. But there's also that entire primary setting in those community settings that are slightly hit on, but never really like are hugely like placed in the School of Nursing typically. I remember having like 2 of those classes in my undergrad and being like, that's me, you know, and that's when like my niche was. I was like, I loved working out. I loved primary care. I loved all of that side of it. So as I did more research, I was like, how do I go into this as a nurse? You know, do I have to work at a health department? Do I have to do this? Do I have to do that? And I found out that, you know, going and getting my doctorate as a nurse practitioner gave me, you know, provider opportunities. It gave me opportunities to work at a wellness center is like my ultimate goal. And to be able to work directly with people post-hospital, let them come into my office and change their lives that way. And then also like I decided to go into family because I love my children, I love my adults, and I get to work with the entire family and watch them grow. So I wanted that all around, you know, niche. And the best way I found it was, you know, just doing the research, going to webinars, connecting with people like you, going and listening to up and coming events. And that's where I kind of found my passion, at least.
Well
Thank you.
said. Thanks, Brock.
Yeah. Brock, Anthony, you guys are, I love these guys. These guys are good. I just love the variance here in the backgrounds. It's perfect. And nobody followed a typical path. It's a great job finding everybody. Yeah, my background, so my choice it was pretty simple. Like I just loved critical care. So, but I didn't want to work. When you work critical care, if you want to remain competent, like you have to work a lot. Like I know I alluded to the fact that I used to work a lot. Well, I worked rapid response, life flight, and SWAT all simultaneously. So those 3 careers, it takes a lot of hours to do that. And to be competent, you have to. So I wanted to find a place where I could incorporate all those skills into one place and have opportunities to get involved in other areas. Because I like being involved. To be honest, I'm probably undiagnosed ADD, so I get bored easily. So like I'm always trying to get into something else. So like we're working with you guys. This is an awesome opportunity. But if you're working like 80 hours a week, you can't do that. So SWAT, I work with neonates, pediatrics, and adults. We do high-risk transport, critical care, and sedations for all those patient populations. I also work on the ECMO supplemental team. So we see the sickest patients in the hospital. So it keeps me competent everywhere. And I can do that doing 3 days a week. And that allows me opportunities to, you know, work with the students nursing or to give back in other ways. And plus, like, I love the work-life balance. 3 days a week allows you to be at home. Like, I live in 20 acres in the middle of the woods, like how Brock was alluding to. He cares about his family too. Like I love that. Like I'm all about work-life balance, and I thoroughly enjoy it. So
That's great. Well said. Thank you. So you guys have definitely put in a lot of work to get into the position you are at now. And both you two mentioned how much you were juggling at once. And Dr. Tolentino actually brought up the fact of getting burnt out in nursing. And I think a lot of people know that nursing is such an emotionally demanding job. And I was just wondering how you guys managed to take care of yourself and avoid that kind of burnout. And what advice would you have for students that are struggling with that sense of burnout and that sheer workload?
I don't know if Anthony wants to jump on it or whatever. I'll just give my little 2 cents. I think it just really comes down to balance and find out who you are as a person and knowing that. Like, you just really got to sit down and be like, who am I? Some people, they can work full time and do nursing. I know them. They were literally Trojan horses. They were, you know, working 2 jobs. And then there was other people that couldn't work at all. And I remember I got my EMT in fire. And then when I got into nursing school, I went and worked at Kohl's. Because like I could work there, you know, 2 days a week on the weekend, get discounts for my clothes, and pay my bills. That was what it was about for me. It was focusing on school. So by doing that and working out, because that was my outlet, finding a positive, you know, stressor outlet. By doing that and working out, I think that I was able to kind of overcome that. But it's real, you know, it's a real thing that happens. And when you're in school, especially where you guys are, it looks like your second years, it becomes, you know, very difficult. But the thing is there's that light at the end of the tunnel. And I promise You know, give it another year or so, things will really start to click. And once that happens too, you get very confident. Remember, it's school. Remember that there's always someone to talk to, and look for people like us, because we're more than happy, I'm sure Nick, I'm sure Anthony, to, you know, just sit down and be like, hey, this is what I went through. What are you going through? You know, and it's okay to be going through something. And it's okay to not always feel 100%, but that not feeling 100% is going to make you a better person and make you stronger in your career. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think that balance is really important. And there's a whole literature about burnout in nursing, right? I would encourage everyone to look at those literature. But I think to me, what helped me was really social support, both from my peers and also from my family members. I come from a family of nurses, and so I was able to talk to them, you know, about different opportunities in nursing. And I think talking to a mentor or finding a mentor that can help you go through things, right, I think will make a big difference. So.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Brock and Anthony. Anthony's spot on. Having a mentor or having a family member, somebody you can talk to, is very important. And then Brock, how he was alluding to having an outlet like working out. I think that's a exceptional recommendation as well. And the only thing I'll add to that would probably be do what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about, the only nurse I've ever found that feels burnout is one that doesn't like their job. And as these 2 other gentlemen are exceptional exemplars are, there's so many things to go into. So early on in your career, don't be afraid to change it up. Like when I started nursing, I hated pediatrics. The parents scared the dickens out of me, I'm not gonna lie. And the little babies, like they scared me. And now yesterday I took care of a kid that was 1.5 kilos on ECMO, and that didn't bother me at all. But when I started, it scared me to death. But I overcame it, started doing it, and I loved it. So just early in your career, I think the people that are most successful in nursing are the ones that aren't afraid to change. So if you are willing to take a risk, take a chance, like if you do something for a year or two and you're starting to feel bored, change it up, try something new, check a new avenue. Somebody's, hey, talk to you about a certain job. Take that opportunity and run with it. You just never know what it's going to lead out to. Like Anthony and Brock, neither one of them said this was their original, their dream in nursing. But as they got into it, they weren't afraid to change. And with that, I think comes happiness.
Thank you for sharing those very insightful answers. So we have a question from the chat, reads, fascinating journeys by everyone on the panel. So tell us, what is needed to get more men in nursing? What have you faced being in a predominantly female profession?
Let me rephrase that so I make sure I'm understanding. Like, what is the need for more men, and like what challenges have we gone through?
Yeah, like how can we get more men to go into the career of nursing? And then what have your experiences been like being the only male, or like there being not a lot of men in nursing, I guess?
Yeah, so I mean, I think just making it into less of a, that's the issue, is like when people typically think of nursing, they think, you know, and I don't know why, I guess it was just this thing that was brought up from like the beginning of time. For instance, like when a woman walks into a room, typically they're thought of as the nurse, and when a man walks in, they're typically thought of as a provider. I've had that happen to me a majority of times, being a male nurse, and you have to sit there and explain to them, like, look, you know, I'm the nurse here, I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z. Additionally, I've felt a lot of the stigma and abuse that's carried out with male nursing. Not a lot of people talk about it, but people think that men go into nursing because they're not smart enough to be physicians, or they're kind of used and abused on floors where pretty much you're like that person that does all the turning, and just because you're a larger person, whereas like, you know, yeah, I do, I work out and I'm a bigger person, but then again, I have my patients to take care of, and I'm willing to help whoever, whenever, but that isn't my sole job either. So I think pushing for men in nursing and just normalizing it and getting rid of these gender roles are kind of key to the better outcome of people.
Yeah, I think Brock is spot on. You know, there are still, I think, a lot of barriers for men in nursing, right? Some may think that men don't even belong to nursing. So I think we need to work not only within nursing, right, for gender diversity, but get rid, as Brock mentioned, that stereotypical things, right, especially how media portray us. I think the worst movie, I'm not sure if everyone has seen it, is Meet the Parents or Meet the Fockers, one of those movies. I think that was one of the worst portrayal of nurses, but specifically men in nursing, right? So to me, I think it's about exposure and message, right? That men can be nurses and we are capable of being nurses. And I hope that we continue to increase men representation, as I think it will only benefit our patients, right? Diversity in workforce is important as we care for diverse population.
Absolutely. Anthony and Brock are spot on with this one. It's really just about communication and eliminating stereotypes. And I think like what you guys are doing, Josiah and Neal, what you guys are starting is this open line of communication. Because basically as a young adult, like you guys are in your second year, a lot of you in your bachelor's right now, you guys get this line of communication from people that work in the field, like us. But then that communication from you to like your younger nephews and cousins, that communication doesn't take place. So that younger generation, because like when I was in high school, you know, like football and like I was a bodybuilder, like it's a different world. Like I didn't think like, why would I want to be a nurse? And I just had no idea what they did, to be frank. But once I seen it, I was just enlightened to it. So having this open line of communication with you and then expanding it upon that younger generation is the key. So thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. Kind of spinning off of that, you kind of touched on it briefly, but what would you say to someone who is like maybe in high school and trying to figure out what they want to do with the rest of their lives, but they're hesitant about joining nursing just because of those gender stereotypes?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead and take it.
Oh, you want me to talk? Up to you, Brock. I'm following you guys' lead, man. Well, those stereotypes, to be 100% frank, I would pitch the work-life balance to nursing. I think it's a value-added perspective that I think younger generation can pursue, because let's be honest, like millennials, I'm a millennial. I think Brock and Anthony still millennials too, right? Yeah, 3 millennials. Heck yes, we're not that old. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not.
you guys might think millennials are old now. I don't know, but so they don't stay at jobs. Like they bounce around. They're not like as dedicated, what they say, as former generations, because they were all about work and doing a good job and staying for one place for 40 years. Millennials are much more. We bounce around. We'll switch jobs and change things up a little bit. So it's about a work-life balance. So I would tell them, hey, you work 3 days a week. You have an opportunity to live your life, like travel the world, have experiences, spend time with your friends, and you get to take care of. You have a very rewarding career path, taking care of people, doing the right thing, and there's a lot of opportunities to change your path. Because I have friends that do engineering, but they work 60 hours a week. They don't have a choice. Or like both my parents were management. My dad worked in the factory. He was in management at Chrysler. He worked 60 hours a week and then had to retire. Here, it's like you can kind of have part-time jobs, work all over the place. So that work-life balance is awesome. You can work as much or as little as you want.
Yeah. And I would say don't hesitate, right? Just do it. There's nothing more rewarding of a profession than nursing, right? And I think, as we alluded to earlier, the beautiful thing about this profession is, again, you can change job without really changing your careers. And so I would say to that 11th, 12th grader, just go for it.
Yeah, I think that they touched on everything that was great. I think the diversity is like that key too, because, you know, you can go as a bachelor certified nurse and get so many different credentials and specialties, like whether it's in the ER, whether it's on med surg floors, whether it's in the ICUs. You can go into informatics, you can go and get your doctorate, you can go and get your master's, you can go and, you know, go into anesthesiology, you can go into just adult gerontology and pediatrics and specialize in that. So I think it's that diversity too that is just like, it's so exciting that, you know, why wouldn't you go into it?
It's a heck of a foundation. Well said, Brock.
Yeah, I say we have a comment from the chat from a current nurse who says he also has some high school students shadow him on his unit, and that really helps change their perspective. Actually, I can speak to some of that. I did a nursing camp when I was in high school, and that really showed me that like this is definitely what I want to do with the rest of my life. So, yeah. Let's see, Neal, do you want to take the next question?
Yeah, sure. So I can kind of bounce off that, Mr. Leiber. That's a great question to add. in regard to mentors, like you guys have spoken to nurse mentors quite a bit. Could you explain like how having a mentor like that has had a big impact on your journey? And if so, why is that?
I mean, that's kind of key, I think, in like most jobs. Uh, I've heard somebody speak before where they were like, you know, put yourself near the sun. Like that person's the sun where you want to be, who you want to be like. And if you do that, then you're likely to have that knowledge and know what you want to go into. Getting mentors, I think, is a little bit harder, obviously now with everything going on, but it's that confidence of making the network connections, and then listening and actually following through with like the shadowing and whatever else it is that you want. I'm always giving out contact information if possible, if I can, for what people want to go into. And I think that's the blessing of nursing too, is it's like the biggest community, but also like the tightest. I think once you kind of like meet someone on the floor or wherever, it seems like they always have a connection with someone else. So just kind of going out your comfort level and finding somebody to talk to and just see if they have any connections is kind of key. And for me personally, I always looked up to, I went to like a trade school type thing in high school called OTech. You guys probably don't know what that is, but I got to like do like a nursing camp, like Josiah said. And they were, you know, there was 2 nurses there, and they were like the people I looked up to. Mr. Licari and Miss Doyle, she, you know, still impacts me today from everything that she said to me. And I think that was like my big turning point, and always being able to know that like I can always reach back out to them. I can send them an email. I can ask them questions. And then also with your professors, I think that teachers and professors are great resources that a lot of people don't utilize. So go back, you know, look them up and like, oh, you went to, you know, U of M, you went to Wayne State, and see what their research topics and different things are. And they're actually usually a great gateway to at least get you a mentor.
I would just add, for mentorship, it doesn't have to be a formal mentorship, right? You can find a lot of mentors that are informal. And when I was starting in nursing, a lot of my mentorship was really informal. I mean, one of the best mentor that I can think of was really my boss in informatics, my first boss in informatics, and I still keep in touch with her, although she's already retired now. I learned a lot from her, but we never really had that formal mentor relationship that you would call, right? It was very informal, but I looked up to her, and she's been a guiding path for me in my work in informatics. And also, you know, use a lot of the technology now. I mean, you can reach out people via Twitter, via LinkedIn. Even ANA has a lot of mentorship program if you want more formal mentorship. So there's a lot of avenues to seek for mentorship.
Nice. So
Yeah.
kind of, oh, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, you're fine. No, I'm just saying, as soon as this COVID's over, anybody wants to shadow, I'm happy to do it. We've already had a couple students do it, and it was a great experience. So,
Yeah, thank you for that. So kind of switching gears a little bit, for all the students in the crowd, we think we all have this class or that class where we think, you know, what the heck, why are we taking this? How's this going to help me? So I was kind of wondering, did you guys think that nursing school prepared you well for an actual career in nursing? And what advice would you give some students who are struggling right now?
Sorry, I was a little distracted for a second. Can you reiterate that just a little bit and I'll answer?
Yeah, how well do you think that nursing school prepared you for the actual nursing field? And what advice would you give to students who are struggling right now?
Yeah, so I think that it prepares you in a way where it breaks you down to make you stronger, is the best way I can kind of answer that. Are you specifically like perfectly ready to be a nurse? I don't think so, because it depends on which field you're into, right? If you're going to the ICU, you need more training. If you're going into the ER to become a SWAT, you need more training. If you're going to informatics, well, I only have one class, so I'm going to need some training. I think what it really comes down to is learn what you can while you can. Know that you're not going to know everything, and that's okay. and get some experience under your belt. And then with that, you know, hopefully you'll get like a really good preceptor. And then on top of that, hopefully the job that you decide to take, you'll work at a great facility and they'll be able to really educate you on what's going on in that floor. I know that it prepared me well for the NCLEX, and it prepared me well to have a strong knowledge base. But from what I know now, I think you just kind of trug through it to get that basic knowledge, and then you'll learn the skills when you get there.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So
Yeah,
it looks like, oh, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, you're good, man. After you.
No, go ahead. Seriously, we have time.
No, I just want to reiterate with Brock. I totally agree. I just think it's the knowledge base, the foundation that you need to be successful. One thing I will add to that, in your first job, every job I've ever had, I've always told my supervisor or manager, I've always looked at them, and I've never wanted to work anywhere where I didn't really respect or want to be like that manager or director. Because I think that first job is crucial to who you become as a nurse, because they'll assign you with a preceptor. Like I always used to say, I still say it now, I'm as good as you'll train me. So you put me with somebody that has poor fundamentals or poor like work ethic or cuts corners, they're going to train you to be a nurse and not the best way. So if you have a great exemplar in that first preceptor, I think that sets you up for success for the rest of your life and any job you have from that point forward. I don't know if anybody else has similar examples, but just having a great mentorship, because there's such a variance between nurses, between any profession, having that great example really will set you up for success, I think, going forward.
And I had the opposite experience, right? As I mentioned earlier, during my first year, I really had a hard time with working in a step-down cardiac unit, and I made the decision to just leave. So just because, you know, in your first few years of nursing, if it's not successful, it doesn't dictate on what's going to happen to you in the future, right? So just think that, you know, you're not stuck in that job, right? You can always switch to something else if you're not getting the support that you need when you start working as a brand new nurse. So.
Yeah, and making sure you're expressing that support. You know, if you end up at a place and you feel like you weren't taught long enough, you know, it's okay to tell the manager like, hey, you know, I might need another week or two. If you felt like, you know, it's being okay and comfortable with knowing where your limits are, and making sure you are, you know, if you're on, let's say, you know, a nephrology floor, and if you're not doing some additional studying on top of, you know, some of your work, then you may not know as much as another person. So getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, and also making sure you're expressing like your limitations and not just taking patients that you feel very uncomfortable with.
And learn to advocate for yourself. So
100%.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you for those answers. So we have time for about maybe one more question. So I was just, any like last minute thoughts or advice you want to give to students or in general?
Do what you're passionate. Like seriously, like find like what you like right now. Like think about it, you know, and then just like go forward and see if you like it. Like, you know, and that could be something that's a little bit even outside of like the nursing scope, that, you know, quote unquote nursing scope of like, you know, cardiology, nephrology, this, that. You know, I really, when it came down to it, I found out I truly enjoyed working out. I truly enjoyed living, you know, primary preventative lifestyle, and decided I wanted to get that back to my patients, because that's something that I know I will continuously love to do, and that I can continuously love to give back. So I think it's finding something like that you're just going to continuously move forward with, and just be passionate about, like we've kind of said the whole time, is key.
Totally agree with Brock. Do what you're passionate about. I would like to ask the students though, are we allowed to ask them? I would like to know, is there anything else that you want from us? If they can, anything, because we just want to give information. We're here to help you guys. This is all about you.
Yeah. We're just seeing comments like, you guys are awesome. One of the nurses, David, said it's hard enough to get men interested in nursing, but even more so in pediatrics. Hang out with him for a day. I think this kind of ties into what me and Neal want for this organization as a whole. Is just a place where our male students can come for like support and to professionally develop and grow in nursing. And that's just really what this is all about. It's like being able to meet with other nurses and see like what it actually is about and how we can have a big impact on someone else's life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think one big aim of this organization, and I think we talked about it a lot, is just having that kind of network and having those mentors. So if you guys are interested in having these students reach out to you, if you want to drop your email address in the chat or something, go for it. But once again, I think we're closing up this panel, but I just want to thank you all very much for joining us. And then we're going to transition into the interactive part with our Kahoot game. So I know you guys have very busy schedules. You can either stay on and join us with that, or you can take off. But yeah, thank you. If there's anything else, please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Josiah and Neal. This is amazing. So reach out. I put in my email address and also my Twitter handle there if anyone is interested in informatics or just nursing questions in general. So thank you.
Yeah, same. Reach out. I put my email in. I'm an open book. I'll tell you how it is. You know, so these guys, you can totally tell. Hopefully, come back and do another one of these one day. I think it was pretty awesome, pretty interactive. So thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Yep. Thanks a lot, everybody. I sent my email out there. Please reach out. I know we can contact one another. I know on restrictions within the health organization to shadow right now. But even if you're not interested in us, I'm sure Anthony, Brock, or myself can even set you up with somebody else in a career that you're interested in. We don't want to force you down our path. We want to help you, enable you, empower you to whatever future you foresee. So please reach out. We can set up some dialogue now because I think we'll be opening up hopefully this summer. So for shadowing, it'll be an awesome experience for you guys. Thanks for having us.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to share my screen, and then we're going to go to kahoot.it. There is a code that you punch in to join the game. Looks like we already have some people joined. I'll give people a couple more minutes. You just enter the code 8658200. And this is for MDen prizes. So we will award 3 prizes, the top 3 winners. If you are a winner, please email your home address to me, or sorry, not to me, to Megan Belansky. She put her email address in the chat. All right, so I'll give it a couple more seconds. All right, I think we're good to go. Oops, I got one more that joined in. All right, this is about the history of men in nursing. So the first question is pretty general. It's about our nation as a whole. It's the first training school in the U.S. based on the Nightingale Plan. That is correct. It is, in fact, New York. It was the Bellevue Hospital in New York City in 1873. Good job, Lucas. In 1940, what percentage of men were in the Army Nurse Corps? That is correct. It was 0. They didn't start accepting males into the Army Nurse Corps until 1955. But in 1965, it was up to 30% men. All right, Jetson's jumping up. Question 3, the first nursing schools in Michigan were diploma schools started by what institutions? It was, in fact, hospitals. The first 2 hospital training schools for nurses were in Detroit and what other city? It was Battle Creek. And this image is the cohort of 1913. Pretty decent amount of males in that cohort too. All right, Jetson still in the lead. The first doctoral nursing program, PhD, in Michigan was started at which university? It was Wayne State. I wish it was U of M, but it wasn't. This is an image of Marcia DeCann Anderson, the first recipient of a PhD from U of M. Alumnus John G. Nikari was the first male to graduate with a BSN from which school? Oops. Yep, it was that one school in Lansing. Yeah. So he was in fact a faculty member at U of M. He earned his MSN from Wayne State and his PhD from U of M in education though, because they didn't have PhD in nursing yet. The first university hospital was on what street? North University. Probably right next to the CCTC. What was the purpose of the 400 North Ingalls building that I'm actually sitting in right now? It was the St. Joseph's Sanitarium back in the day, which is actually the St. Joseph's Mercy Hospital that is located on your way to Ypsilanti. Looks like we got Jetson, Brandon, and Lucas in the top 3. During the 1894-1895 academic year, how many male nurses were on the U of M hospital payroll? It was three male nurses. This is an image of Pat Scully. He was a nurse at the hospital payroll for 50 years. And then for the last question, I know this has got your guys' favorite NCLEX style question. Select all that apply. Which of these individuals were in the graduating BSN class of 1968? The first class to have any males in their cohort. Again, it's select all that apply. Good job. All right, so the guy in the red here, that is Gary Christman. Guy in the blue is Dale Boring. And then in yellow, we have Frederick Raje. So the pioneers here at U of M. So it looks like in third place, we got Lucas. Second place, we have Brandon. And in first place for the MDen prize is Jetson. All right, congratulations, guys. Email Megan Belansky. She left her email in the chat, and she will send those MDen prizes. I believe it's a t-shirt and a mug and a pair of socks. So, yeah.
Awesome. So thank you so much for running that, Neal. And before we wrap up our event for the day, I just wanted to first thank everyone for joining us, and thank you so much to our panelists for taking time out of their schedules to share some of their insights with us. I think we got to learn a lot about what it means to be a man in nursing and in nursing in general and following your passion. So thank you so much to them. And there's also need to learn a little about a small portion of the history of nursing. So this event was the first event of a new organization, the University of Michigan Ann Arbor chapter of the American Association of Men in Nursing, which is quite a mouthful, and Neal and I are currently working on a lot shorter name with a lot less words. But this is an organization I kind of talked about earlier, meant to be a place where anyone, but in particular male students, can come and see and hear about what it means to be a man in a female-dominated profession. So our main goal of the organization is to professionally develop and promote men in nursing on campus. So in the future, you can expect more events like the one today, different social events, and the opportunity to network and professionally grow in the field of nursing. Our next meeting is March 23rd, and I think Neal has instructions. He's going to send the link in the chat for how you can join our email list. So make sure you do that so you keep up to date on all things men in nursing. And after you do that, that is all we have. So enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Thank you so much for coming.